gang. Thank you all so much for being here. Do me a favor, please engage with the content and the channel at large. If you're watching live now, if you're going to be watching us later, like, share, subscribe. Follow us places around the internet at BIDWKB. That is also all of our support apps, material support apps, BIDWKB, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Patreon. So we cover police violence a lot on this channel. Um, because it happens a lot in this country and even beyond the levels of police brutality and violence that happen a lot in this country. Usually they happen to Black folks overwhelmingly, right? When we see people being murdered by the police, it's usually Black people, definitely non-white people, indigenous and Latino folks as well. But the reasons that we see Black people being murdered by police can vary, right? For example, the young man in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, the U.S. senior airman, 23 years old, Roger Fortson, answered his door at his apartment holding in his hand his gun that was pointed down and his finger not on the trigger and his other hand raised empty as in surrender when he did nothing wrong. And the police, upon when Roger opened his door, the police shot him within 2 seconds, 1 second, shot him dead, killed him. He didn't do anything wrong. He did not do anything criminally wrong, and he was in his full right to do all the things, right? And we know that traffic stops are another way in which Black folks tragically end up dead. Philando Castile comes to mind. And then sometimes Black people can, as in the case with Roger Fortson, Black people could just end up dead for being in their house, like Botham Jean and Breonna Taylor in Louisville. And let's go to Louisville here if we could, guys, because the fact that this story I'm about to tell you happened in Louisville, I think, is somewhat relevant, right? So we know when Breonna Taylor was murdered by Louisville police, they illegally entered her home and shot her dead. She was in her house. Okay. Those officers were never brought up on charges. Those officers claim that they fired because they were fired upon and they feared for their life. Okay. Keep that in mind. How oftentimes do we hear cops say, I feared for my life as the reason why Black people usually end up dead? Keep that in mind as I tell this story. So outside of Louisville, Kentucky, the golf course I believe is called Walhalla. If we have any PGA fans, or what's the Saudi tour called? The Live Tour. We have any golf fans in here? Sorry, I hate to break it to you kids. Golf sucks ass, by the way. It totally sucks ass. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. So the number one ranked golfer in the world is an American by the name of Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler, I believe, 28 years old, and hails from Ridgewood, New Jersey. New Jersey. We got some New Jersey folks in here. Where's Ridgewood? Is that the hood? Is Ridgewood? Where's Ridgewood at? Is that near Camden? Where's Ridgewood? Is that near Newark? Is that near Patterson? Jersey City, Hackensack, East Orange? Is that where Ridgewood is? I have no idea where Ridgewood is. I'm assuming it is not the ghetto. It would be my guess, but fuck, I might have that all wrong. Ridgewood might be the actual hood. Well, from the hood of Ridgewood, New Jersey, yielded one Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler, 28 years old, number one ranked golfer on the PGA Tour. Scottie is at the PGA Championship right now. I think last time I checked, he was 4 strokes off the lead. Scottie won the Masters and he won like 4 other tournaments, like in a short amount of time. Like he's in sort of some rarefied golf league, like with the likes of Arnold Palmer and them niggas, right? So Scottie Scheffler, nice with this shit on the golf tee, okay? So Scottie Scheffler was set to tee off on Friday morning for the PGA Championship while out there at Walhalla, except something happened. There was a traffic accident on the highway leading up to the golf course, and the traffic was closed. It was a fatal accident, okay? And I actually want us to pick it up from there. Let's go to the Golf Channel, if we will. Will, if you could cue up that Golf Channel piece for me, please, because when I went to the local Louisville reportings, it was underwhelming. And I don't think it properly gave the gravitas of the seriousness of what Scottie Scheffler is accused of doing. It was all very, oh, well, that's kind of crazy, huh? Scottie Scheffler is accused of hitting a cop with his car. Okay. And did that shit lead the news? Did that lead the news tonight? Did that lead the news tonight? Anyway, hold on. I'm gonna get y'all caught up from the Golf Channel. The Golf Channel's all on top of this shit. I said, all right, Golf Channel, you better go ahead, Golf Channel, get on top of this shit. So the Golf Channel all on top of this shit. So let's get. Let me not bury the lead here before we get into the video. The number one ranked golfer in the world hit a cop with his car. Okay. Okay. And there's more to that when we come back. But yes, Will, go ahead, run that.
I'm Rich Lerner reporting from the 106th PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, Kentucky, on a bizarre and tragic day. Early this morning, just before 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, world number one Scottie Scheffler was arrested by Louisville Metro Police while trying to drive into the entrance of Valhalla Golf Club ahead of his second round. Play at the tournament had been delayed after a pedestrian was hit and killed by a shuttle bus outside the golf course, causing traffic delays. The PGA of America later confirmed the pedestrian was a worker for one of the tournament's vendors. Scheffler was initially charged with second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. He was released from local jail at 8:40 a.m. local time and arrived back at Valhalla just under an hour before his scheduled 10:08 tee time. Shortly before teeing off, Scheffler released this following statement on Instagram. This morning, I was proceeding as directed by police officers. It was a very chaotic situation, understandably so, considering the tragic accident that had occurred earlier. There was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this to the side and focus on golf today. Of course, all of us involved in the tournament express our deepest sympathies to the family of the man who passed away in the earlier accident this morning. It truly puts everything in perspective. Rex Hoggard is on the grounds for us. And Rex, what more can you tell us?
Rich, I spoke with the police official this morning. As you pointed out, he was released at 8:40. It's important to point out that he was arraigned at the police station downtown Louisville. That's about 45 minutes away from the golf course in traffic. So that's what took so long for him to get to the golf course. The official also told me he will have a court date. The arraignment should happen within the next day or two, but Scottie Scheffler does not have to be there for that arraignment. And it's important to point out, of those four charges, the second degree assault of a police officer is the only felony in the group. Now, I'm out front of Valhalla Golf Club right now on the street where the incident occurred. And it's important to point out, it's the only entrance into Valhalla. It's been busy all week long, but the way they have it set up is there's a dedicated lane for buses, for officials coming into the tournament, certainly for players and caddies coming into the tournament. That's the lane that they've been using all week long. That lane was closed this morning because of that accident that you talked about, and that's where the confusion started.
Rex, what was the scene like once Scottie arrived at the club and got set to tee off for a second round?
Surreal and chaotic, I think it's fair to say. Clearly, his warm-up wasn't nearly as long as it normally would be in those circumstances. As a matter of fact, he was showing up early this morning to get in an early workout. It's raining this morning, so it wasn't a packed house, but there were plenty of people around the tee when he went off, and polite applause is how I'd say he was greeted.
Rex Hoggard reporting from Valhalla Golf Club.
Rex.
You can visit NBCSports.com for complete coverage throughout the day.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Rex. Outstanding reporting there, Rex. I'm kidding. So I wanted to say this real quick. So there was some things that was a little bit left out of that story. TMZ reported that Scottie Scheffler was driving on the median. Okay, so hold on. Let me reset. The accident involving a struck pedestrian that was a fatal accident did not involve Scottie Scheffler. It was a separate incident that happened before he was arrested. However, that fatal pedestrian accident is what closed the road and what closed the highway. So Scottie Scheffler, trying to get to the golf course early so he can work out before his 10 o'clock tee time, was allegedly so impatient about the highway closure that he began driving on the median. Okay. That is what apparently got the attention of police who attempted to effect a traffic stop on him in which he allegedly refused to comply. The second degree assault on a police officer. Oh, where did that come from? Well, according to reports, a Louisville police officer wearing a high vibe vest had to throw himself on the hood of Scottie Scheffler's car to get him to stop. Okay. You heard he was hit with 4 counts, including 1 felony, second degree assault of a police officer, reckless driving, etc., failure to comply. All of these things, guys. And it's so awesome to be white and male in America. So he was arrested. They put the cuffs on him. Okay. Didn't whip his ass, didn't fuck him up, didn't kill him, took him to jail. And per that story, okay, you heard the accident happened at about 7:30 this morning, so assume the highway was closed shortly thereafter. By the time he made it to the police station, it was 8:48. Or was that, what was the 8:48 a.m.? Was that by the time he got back to the golf course, which I think it was. So within 2 hours time, let's be generous here. Within 2 hours time, the white man who had attempted to run over a cop, that's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. If the cop had to throw himself on the hood, what does that mean? You anyway, deduce with that what you will. So within 2 hours time, the white man who allegedly struck a police officer with his vehicle was taken to police station, arraigned, and returned back to the golf course within 2 hours time. Oh my God. Listen, if I were white, can I shout out to the white folks real quick? I understand why it's hard to turn that shit down, dog. It's hard. It is hard to pass up on the white in America because that shit is fucking awesome. Dog, you can hit police. You can literally injure police. You can be arrested and charged with a felony. And sir, we will make sure to get you back here to Walhalla Golf Course right in time for your tee off, Mr. Scheffler. Mr. Scheffler. I'm sure there's a bunch of Mr. Schefflers. Mr. Scheffler, please stop. Mr. Scheffler, please comply. I bet you the fucking taser and the pistol never left their holsters as this white man is barreling down the fucking median, not obeying police's traffic commands. And in fact, it sounds like his actions probably endangered the lives of one of these fucking pussy ass cops in Louisville. And yet them punk motherfuckers, despite the fact that there was a person wielding what can be referred to as a dangerous weapon, as a moving vehicle, as sometimes is referred to as a dangerous, deadly weapon. Somehow these fucking pussy ass cops, these soft scrotum skin ass cops, wasn't afraid of this white man wielding this deadly weapon in their direction, potentially causing them bodily harm. And that's why this motherfucker needs to be burned down to the goddamn ground. Because I assure you, a non-white driver, a black driver, a Hispanic driver, an indigenous driver would not have been afforded such courtesies, such latitude, such grace, such continued ability to endanger public safety. But the white man, the rich white man can do all of those things and be not only uninjured, but alive. Let me fucking underscore alive. Alive. The amount of black folks we have seen be murdered and maimed by police for literally doing nothing, breaking no laws, being in full compliance of all police directives, and they still end up dead. So again, folks, for those who question or doubt if white privilege is real, whether or not white folks in society are treated differently and with different levels of respect and different levels of consideration and different levels of grace, and that these police know full and fucking well whom they use deadly force against and in what instances and how quick, right? There is no, oh, I didn't have time to react. Like that pussy fucking cop in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. You shot that boy within 2 seconds of him answering the fucking door. You ain't have time to surmise or deduce the fucking situation. You ain't have time to do all that. How long did they let fucking Scottie Scheffler drive down the goddamn medium? Likely with lights and sirens on all behind him, right? These cops know exactly what they're doing, everybody. They're well trained, and they are trained to kill black people, okay? The reason why a Scottie Scheffler or a comparable ornery, non-compliant, violent white man, the reason why these motherfuckers end up alive all the time and somehow the cops never fear for their life when it's a white person threatening their life, obviously, because they're not trained to shoot white people, okay? Do you understand the amount of bullets? Do you guys understand the amount of bullets a white would actually have to discharge in order to get killed by the cops? I mean, and I say that we did cover a story here recently where it was the military surgeon, the guy who was caught in the child sex abuse sting in Seattle. He pulled out a pistol and they shot him right away, but they only shot him once. Somehow with black folks, they managed to shoot them 10, 20, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 times. And those aren't even hyperbolic numbers. You know what I'm saying? Yes, black people do get shot 90 times out here in America. Not uncommon. But Scottie Scheffler, got to get him back to the T, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, he tried to run over some cops. So I wanted to say this as well. This is what kind of pissed me off about this whole story. I mean, the whole story is infuriating, right? Because we see the ways in which force is used disproportionately, but here is disproportionate in the other direction, right? Like no force, basically. This man, he's fine. Listen, how the fuck you hold on. Let me ask y'all a question. In what world would a black man, even let's say a black man of middle class, upper middle class, whatever. Oh no, even better. Hold on. Let me give y'all better. I want y'all to imagine this was LeBron James. I want you to imagine this was Steph Curry. I want you to imagine this was, even though I don't think he identifies as black, but let's say Patrick Mahomes, because black enough. Black enough, right? Black athlete, right? I want you to imagine this was one of our esteemed ball chasers of the day, right? Imagine if this was fucking LeBron James, kids. Imagine if LeBron, in his haste to get to the arena because he's late for tip-off, right? Imagine if in his haste he drives illegally on the median and police try to get him to stop and he refuses to stop. You think LeBron surviving that encounter? Even if LeBron does survive that encounter with police, how do you think that's going to get covered on the news, everybody? Like, no. I mean, no, seriously. How do you think that would get covered on the news? What do you think they would say? Do you think it would be buried? Do you think it would be in the second block? You think it's like the fifth or sixth story down? Absolutely not. If LeBron James hit the police with his fucking car, that's leading the news, beloveds. That is leading the fucking news. That is the top story. That is trending over fucking Trump and Israel, nigga. If LeBron or one of these well-recognized, highly visible black athletes were to hit the police with his car in the haste to get to the fucking game, and let me say, I was highly disappointed, but not surprised, but maybe even not disappointed, but not surprised because I told y'all my guilty pleasure. I do well in pleasure is maybe even overstating it, but my guilty watch is TMZ Live, and I was very disappointed in the very ha. Oh, that's Scottie. Oh man, that guy, what a rascal. Scottie, how could you do that, Scottie? Like it was all of that. And one of the guys commenting was black, Charles Ladaboudier. And sometimes Charles's hot takes also be Ladaboudier. It'd be a lot of booty. I'm like, God damn, Charles, this is a terrible take. Fuck. But Charles Ladaboudier, he reported it, I'm like, dog, you a black man and you're gonna find humor. You're gonna look at this as a lighthearted thing that this white boy was allowed to defy the rules of the road, completely ignore a highway road closure because of a fatal accident, and he's gonna drive in the median because he's gotta slap the ball off the stick. But you know that black people get murdered for less, oftentimes initiated in the form of a traffic stop. Like, this shit's funny. Shit, absolutely not funny. It's absolutely not funny. And again, it's awesome to be white. I can't even be mad at white folks. To be clear. And to be clear, for some people who may not be, familiar with me or watch me for the first time, no, I do not hate white folks. I do hate white supremacy. Bad. I hate that real bad. Hey, white folks? No, I do not hate white folks. I do hate anyone that subscribes to white supremacy. And to be clear, not just white folks subscribe to white supremacy. So even if you are non-white out here and upholding white supremacy, I don't like you. Don't like you either. Don't like you either. But I do not dislike white folks. But what I do want white folks to do is to understand and recognize that you operate under a different set of rules out here. Let me rephrase. There are no rules for whites. The rules are for non-whites, okay? And if you don't believe me, look no further than what happened to Airman Roger Fordson, and look at what happened here with Scottie Scheffler. You know what I'm saying? One, obviously violating the law, putting actual officers' lives in danger. And what he get? He get returned. He get arrested and brought back to work within 2 hours. The other one, fully within their constitutional and civil rights to be in their home, to protect their home with a legal firearm as part of castle doctrine. And they don't even get 1 second. They don't even get 2 seconds to explain themselves, to do anything really, before they are murdered by an agent of the state. So it's just very interesting. And it requires close observation. If you've never paid such close attention to things before, just notice the reasons in which black people get killed by the state out here and the reasons in which white people don't. And, well, why do you have to make everything about race? Because it's America, baby. It's enshrined in our founding documents. Those founding fuckers, you can call them the founding fathers. I call them the founding fuckers. Those founding fuckers enshrined African inferiority into their founding documents. They made everything about race. During Jim Crow, I'm sorry, you think it was black people walking around with signs on the water fountains for whites only? You think that was I'm sorry, you think that was us doing that? Yo, the racists is wild, yo. Racists really think that racism worked both ways. Oh, sure, the whites was racist, but the blacks, y'all was racist sometimes. Y'all was racist sometimes. No, nigga. No. It's so wild. The racists complain and rant when there are black uprisings. Oh, well, look at them tearing down their own community. How could they burn down the CVS? Do you really not know all the shit that the whites burned down in American history? Like entire towns, entire sections of towns, all kinds of schools, churches, homes. Whew. The deficit of American history knowledge amongst the average American. The ghetto.